Let's bring the meeting to order. This is the Historic District Commission, Town of Fairfield. Today is January 8th, 2026. The notice of this hearing was published on Friday, December 26th, edition of Fairfield Citizen. Let's take attendance. Darren Raymond Luck.
Present.
George Clark.
Present.
Art Gravanis.
Here.
Maura Garrick.
Here.
Jim Akamondo.
Here.
Jim Bohan. Jim Bohan is supposedly here.
He's
Greg
not.
Valente.
Jim is muted.
Okay. So absent today are Greg and I'm gonna say just Greg for the moment since we can see Jim on the screen. And I'm Rosina Negron. The first item on the agenda is Candace Singleton and Nicholas Pagnosi, 106 Old Post Road, Fairfield, Connecticut, for a property located at 106 Old Post Road, addition above the existing garage to accommodate new bedroom number 3, new primary bedroom, bath, walk-in closet, and balcony outside of the primary bedroom. The design of the addition is in character and complementary to the existing roof line and the historically designated structure. The new asphalt shingle is to be matched to the existing, all exterior shingle siding to be matched to the existing and painted. The new windows and trim are to be matched to the existing. Is there anyone here representing this application? Is there anyone here representing this application?
Yes. Hi, Sharon Lee for the Pagnozzi's, representing this application.
Okay. You can present, please.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
We can see the screen, we cannot see you.
Right. Sorry. I in my office and my company doesn't give us cameras, so I apologize. So for the Pagnozzi project, we attended a pre-application meeting and got a lot of good feedback to try and help move the project along. So what we've done is we're trying to, I'm first going to show you, one of the requests was to try and show the proposed addition within the context. So the next series of slides is to try and show how we think what we've done based on the comments we received will help integrate the house into the existing historic context. So this is the existing house as it stands today. This was the garage that was added a little bit over a year ago. So this is the house directly across the street, also currently in renovation. So the first set of slides is just to show some existing houses on the street and their size, just so people can get an idea of the proportions. I'm sure you all are familiar with a lot of these properties. This is the house that's 2 doors down. Further down the street, another house. A little further down, these 2 houses. And then across the street on Old Post Road is this house, which had this addition. So this is an image of the Pagnozzi house and the 2 houses directly next door, one of which I just showed you. And then how we think what we tried to do, based on the comments we received, we lowered the roof. And in the next set of slides, I'm going to show you some options for the dormer, but in this particular one, we included both dormers. But we've moved the windows closer, which was one of the comments, and I think that that was a good improvement. And just feel like it works in the context a little bit better. And that's all for this set of slides. I'm just going to change my slides right now, so give me 1 second. And can everyone see my screen again?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet?
Not yet.
It's coming. It's coming.
There it is. We have it now.
Okay. Well, I won't go through the whole drawing set. I mean, we've updated the drawing set, but I wanted to show you 4 options for the dormer that we were proposing. One is the 2 dormers I just showed you, and then 2 options with just one dormer on the front, or perhaps one dormer on the side, and then an option for no dormers and just sort of lowering the roof to allow the main house to kind of read as the primary structure. And that's what I wanted to show for today. I think we've tried to address as many of the comments as possible. I think this helps to improve the house and give the Pagnazis the additional space that they need for their growing family. Are there any questions?
So I have one
gonna-
question to start with.
Sure.
You guys are basically having us decide between these 4 what we want, or you guys are telling us which one is the one that you guys, normally a presentation, you guys pick one and then we move along. But are you guys having us choose between these 4 options? Which one is the one that we feel it's complementary
I'm
to the
happy
historic
to-
district and the property?
Yeah. I sort of felt like, based on the discussion in the previous meeting, that that we should give you some options. But the Pagnazis, I think, are comfortable with this, the changes that have been made. Their preference is for the dormers in some fashion. I don't think they're have a distinct preference, but they think that the dormer adds just something to their house. So I think in this case, we're happy to make a decision, but if the commission has a preference, we would want to hear that as well.
Okay, let's start. Darren, do you have any questions?
I guess I just have 2 comments. I feel a little uncomfortable that we're the ones deciding from these 4 elements. I feel like that's not really what our jurisdiction would allow, first of all. And second of all, I still kind of feel it looks monolithic. It looks like you're replicating the original house over the garage, and I don't know that that's in keeping with the historic character necessarily. So those are just my 2 comments.
Okay.
Art, do you have any questions?
Only that just like Rosina and Darren, it's not our job to pick amongst, a menu here. So I think that's that should be done in an informal meeting. But I will say, to give you some feedback, I am comfortable with those dormers, whether it's 1 or 2, but I'm not going to make the call on that. That's not our job.
Which is absolutely fine. The owner's preference is for this option.
George, do you have any questions? Oh, sorry, Jim Akmondo, do you have any?
Just a comment. I think one of the, at least my takeaway of one of the overriding concerns is that you don't want to overpower the original structure. And so I think they've done a good job of diminishing it, separating it. And to me, visually, the main structure is still there and predominant. As far as the doors, then make the decision. I don't think any which way of these 4 examples take away from my statement. It's appropriate as is. The main house still stands out to me. And how they do the doors is their personal preference.
Okay. George, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I guess so. So, okay, I think I agree with Darren a little bit that the structure to the left still looks like a replication of the first one. To differentiate, I'll take a different position. I personally think that the one dormer on the main structure and not replicating on the secondary structure would help to delineate a little difference between the two. So I guess the lower left is kind of a preference of the two, but I still think the structure on the left is kind of like a baby version of the one on the right. And I'm not positive that that's what we would ask for, but but it certainly has been reduced in size from the earlier presentation.
I will say in response, and I appreciate the comments, we did try just continuing, so we have to create a little corridor to this new space,
Right.
just the way the house is designed.
Sure.
We did just try continuing that straight roof across, and it became very monumental, sort of the way the garage is. And so we felt this detail was helping to bring the scale down a little bit by having a little bit more um, uh, differentiation. And yes, it's similar to the existing house, but we can't fully replicate it. It's just it's more like a little jewel box of that has similar components than actually replicating, just because the scale is different, the roof height is different. I think it provides
Yep.
enough differentiation. The overhang will be slightly different, just because of the zoning requirements. We have to set that wall back, etc. So I think there is differentiation in the actual
So
structure.
I'm gonna interrupt for a second. We actually cannot vote on your presentation. We need to vote on the documents that were originally submitted to us. So none of the 4 options that you're presenting was what it was submitted to us. And this was something that when we interacted in email correspondence, I asked if what it was submitted to us was what you guys wanted to move forward with. I will start sharing the one that we have. And it's completely different. So.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So the application that was provided was for this elevation. The commissioners had not seen the presentation that you provided right now. So we can only vote on this one, which was exactly the same drawing that was presented during the pre-application meeting.
So my apologies, because I did not make the submission for this meeting, and that wasn't my understanding. So my apologies if that's all you can vote on. That's not. We took the pre-application meeting minutes. I think perhaps my partner was trying to make sure we made this meeting, and the intent was not to submit the same drawings that we submitted for pre-application.
So that was, and it was one of the questions that I asked by email. Is this exactly what you guys want? And the response came back as yes.
It came back as yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think that was a mistake on our part.
So the best thing at this moment is to withdraw the application from this meeting and come back with the actual design and one selection of what you guys are intending to do.
So come back next month?
Correct.
But you'd have to
You need-
withdraw this application because otherwise we have to vote on it.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so I withdraw that application.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is David and Elizabeth Barrett, 114 Westway Road, Southport, Connecticut, for a property located at 114 Westway Road. Repair, modify existing deck railings and resurface roof. Railing will be replaced with new wood rail. Is there anyone here representing this application?
Good afternoon. I'm Jack Franson. I'm representing the Barretts for this application. Rosina, could you scroll up to where I sent you the mock-up? And I also have some sketches that might just help explain what's going on. Should be some copies here. So this request has to do with the deck, second floor deck that's on the rear of the house. The deck was built, I think, about 20 years ago, and it's rotted. When it was constructed, what they did is they put 4x4 cedar posts into the membrane, and then the flashing detail was to bring a piece of copper up, and they actually put a horizontal kerf in the base of the cedar and tuck flash the copper into it. So, and that's an okay detail, but it's not the best detail for something exposed to the weather as much as this is, because that 3.5-inch piece of cedar then is pretty much like a 2.5-inch piece of cedar. So 20 years went by where there was a homeowner of one of his kids leaned on it and it was going to go over. So it's rotted. And so what they would like to do is replace it pretty much the way it is. They do not want to do that bottom rail detail. They just want to simplify it. So the height would be the same. The spacing of the pickets would be the same. But the detail that we like for this type of railing is to have a 4x4 post that's pressure treated. It's embedded in the membrane. The flashing comes up on the outside of that post. And then that post is clad with cedar, and so you don't even see the flashing, and it will last much longer. So that's what you're seeing on the sketch I gave you as an indication of what that would look like. The post is going to be 5 inches versus 3.5. Cap detail is the same. The height is the same. Same type of material in every way, just better detail. Happy to answer any questions.
Darren, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you so much.
Art, do you have any questions?
None, thank you.
Maura, do you have any questions?
I do not. Thank you.
Jim, do you have any questions?
None, thanks.
George, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thanks, Jack.
Jim, do you have any questions?
No, thank you. Thank
I
you, Joe.
believe Greg might be in
Yep, nope.
attendance.
Yep, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And I do not have any questions, so thank you for the presentation.
Thank you very much.
The next item in the agenda is Judith Proctor, 428 Peakwood Avenue, Southport, Connecticut, for a property located at 428 Peakwood Avenue for a construct wrought iron handrail and add back steps. Is there anyone here representing this application?
I'm Judy Proctor, the homeowner. And I am handing out a mock-up, a Photoshop mock-up that are the wrought iron works, Azteca, Bridgeport, who will also install it.
We're okay. Thank
Um,
you.
Did up for us. Basically, when we put the addition on however many years ago, it's not high enough to require any kind of handrail, but we would like one now. So this will be a simple handrail. Wrought iron pieces, 1-inch square. It runs 50 inches along the front stoop and then 25 inches down, and it has a simple curve.
Yeah. Darren, do you have any questions?
No questions for me, thank you.
Art, do you have any questions?
No, thanks.
Maura, do you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Jim, do you have any questions?
No question.
George, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Jim B, do you have any questions?
No questions, thank you. Thank you, Judy.
Greg, do you have any questions?
No questions.
I do not have any questions. Thank you so much for the presentation. The next item in the agenda is Megan and Sean Kelly, 204 Harbor Road, Southport, Connecticut, for property located at 204 Harbor Road. Replace existing asphalt roof with new roof using red cedar shingles, ice shield entire roof, install new red copper drip and rake edges, valley flashing step and wall flashing shingles over cedar breather with stainless steel fasteners. And B, replace existing plastic exhaust fan with new aesthetically mindful exhaust fan termination cover on driveway side. Is there anyone here to
Yes,
present
hello.
this application?
Hi, I'm Sean. Hello. Thank you for your help in guiding me through this application process. We've lived in the Southport for only 10 years, but we have such great respect for the historical guidelines that you provide and the great quality of the neighborhood. So I want to present a clear message that we're eager to make our houses consistent with the neighborhood as possible.
So I'm gonna put in the one that you sent, but it has both the repair and the
Certification.
the new stuff.
Yes.
So let's just present the certification stuff. So
Okay, very good. Thank
you
you.
can do that.
Thank you. So in general, it's a repair in that we have, we've been there 10 years, but I think that the siding and the roof are more than 25 years old since the last time a previous owner replaced them. The siding very visibly has a lot of cracks and buckling, you know, it looks like an old person's teeth. But it's ready for that, you know, refreshment that it really requires to have the high quality of the neighborhood. So that would be very consistent in the old style, a 6.5-inch shingle, and very much matching the same style existing. The roof is currently asphalt, but we'd like to make that cedar, as so many of the other houses surrounding the building are also cedar.
Let's go.
This was a catalog that was provided for us by our contractor, and I think the details are ones that will be decided, but very much consistent with the types of roofs around our neighborhood.
That's,
Yes, thank you. That's a cover for the event, which is going to be replaced in a higher quality. I guess there's also a chance to do that as a wooden cover, which would maybe allow it to feel less modern, less plastic, but it's a high quality version that our contractor has recommended.
thank you.
Thank you.
Darren, do you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Art, do you have any questions?
Sean, this is, it says plastic white. Is it going to be, it's in essence, replace, you're swapping one plastic for another?
Essentially, yeah, because I imagine that the existing plastic vent cover is probably at least 25 years old. You know, those plastics yellow a little bit over the decades. So we want it to feel fresh and clean, but also, you know, very functional.
So your guy said he recommends it.
He recommended that, but he also said if it is more agreeable, it could be a wooden type of structure that surrounds it that would maybe allow it to blend in a little bit more with the rest of the house. I don't know as much about those details, but that was one option that he suggested.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Maura, do you have any questions?
Where is that then?
Say again, oh, it is on the side of the house that faces the driveway, so it does not face Harbor Road. but it's above the bottom of a third floor, and I think it vents from an existing bathroom on the third floor.
That's all.
Thank you.
Jim,
Yeah, no questions.
George,
No questions.
Jim B,
No questions, thank you.
Greg,
And quick question, Sean, are the windows being modified in any way?
Well, the windows are not going to be changed, but you can see in the top left corner of that photograph kind of a trefoil pattern where that again has been weathered over many decades, and we want to sharpen that up to allow the edges of that to be cleaner. But there won't be any big changes in the windows throughout the rest of the house.
Okay. Okay.
I do not have any questions. And I've been forgetting to say, is there anyone here from the public who has any questions? Hearing none, we did not receive any letters in favor of this application, and we did not receive any letters opposing this application. So this hearing is now closed. And my apologies to the previous ones, but we did not receive any letters for either one, so. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
The next item in the agenda is Station Street LLC, 65 Station Street, Southport, Connecticut, for a property located at 65 Station Street for the construction of a new two-story office building in the southwest corner of the site containing 6,842 square feet of floor area. B, the installation of exterior lighting on the proposed office building. And C, installation of extension of the parking area and the installation of an extension of sidewalks. Is there anyone here representing this application?
Yes, Chair, members of the commission, Chris Russo with Russo Mizio LLC, offices at 10 Saskville Hill Road in Fairfield. Here on behalf of the applicant, I'm here with David Ball, who is the architect on this project. I will transfer it over to David, but I'm just going to give you a brief intro, which basically the call did anyway. But this is 65 Station Street. It's the location of the old Ruger factory. It's the original. You probably know this site where it is, but just for reference, Pachi is over here, and the train station, obviously, and then Pequot Avenue down there to the south. So the proposal is there's two existing buildings there right now. There's a two-story building that's here on the corner, and then there's an existing one-story building right here, and there's existing parking. It's shaded in gray, so it's a little light for you to be able to see, but there's already existing parking here. And the proposal is for this two-story office building. Just so you know, the church's parking lot is right here. You can kind of see it outlined. You can see the underpass under the bridge. There's a designed residence district property right here that's got a two-story building on it. And then there's some single-family residences right there as well. So again, this is the original Ruger property. It's got a lot of history with that. And we are looking to keep it commercial, kind of continue on with that tradition. I know, not to go too deep into the zoning, but just so kind of you know what the application process has been. We applied to planning and zoning for a partial zone change of the property. This is in a commercial district, actually where the building is. It's already in a commercial district, but there was this small sliver that wasn't, it was in residential. And so we went and obtained approval to make the entire site commercial. And the reason we did that is because, again, not because the building was in the commercial, but because of this parking area, which you can see the existing parking ends like there, and then it comes up and extends on over here. We had to add some more spaces to conform to the regulations. So we submitted a zone change, and then we submitted a special permit approval that was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission, stamped, submitted with this application, and that's the basics of the proposal before you. So with that, I will turn it over to David so he can run through the rest of the presentation.
You have a handout. These are,
Are you guys gonna present,
thank you.
on the WebEx?
Do you want me to pull it up on the web? It's all the materials we submitted for this one. The next application, we put it into a nice presentation slide, but this is all the materials that we already submitted.
So let me pull it myself.
I can do that, though. I have it if you want me to.
If you want to, yeah, that will be,
Okay.
Yep. Good, so that everyone that's,
Sure. David, you want to go and I'll pull it up while you're talking.
Sure.
thank you.
But what I'm gonna be talking about is the presentation, so. Yes, if you start with the slide, please. This is- Okay, so first argument. Maybe step over. I've got some issues with mobility. I had Lyme disease and damage my leg. So anyway, so Chris already showed you a site plan, but basically this is the original house on the property, even though it was the Sturm Ruger Firearms, but you know, this looks where they started. And then these are I was gonna call them industrial buildings, but that implies mill buildings, so it's really, you know, sort of barn-like structures that were in place over the years, many, many years. And this is the new building that we're proposing. And the basic idea is to, you know, reflect on the context and really develop a new building that is in line with the character of the existing buildings the best we could. We placed the building at the northwest corner, which the basic idea is to keep it away from the neighbors as much as possible, create a green or maintain the green space here, and really try to make it consistent with the character of the site as it stands. And, you know, there's a, yeah, second page. So we have a series of pictures of what the building would look like. This is probably the best rendering of the building, and we have that in a larger format with us tonight, so we'll show that to you. But then this is just various views from around the site. And for the most part, you know, from the north, which is the railroad station, there would be very little visibility. We would clean up, there's the property for there's a sliver of property to the north before you hit the roadway, which is owned by the city or the railroad, I'm not quite sure. And that would be cleaned up as part of this because there's a lot of overgrown brush and that type of thing. But in general, what you see from the various angles around the site is relatively limited of the building. So I'll just keep flipping here. You know, more views. Good. Of the building. We're going to go through this one real quick, yes. So, you know, from, tough to see it, but, you know, from the north side, and in some cases, you're barely seeing the buildings. That's particularly from the neighbors to the south. Pick that one. Let's take this. I just wanted to talk about the basic layout of, you know, there's a slide of existing buildings in the neighborhood. We've, you know, done a fair amount of work in this overall area. We really get to know what the, you know, the architecture, and it's varied in style, you know, very wonderful old buildings, but, you know, somewhat varied in style. But this is these, you know, I wanted to talk just briefly about the basic layout of the building, which would be the floor plan slide. And a fairly simple office building. This is the first floor. It's set up for 2 tenants. And these walls would not necessarily be built, but when you lay out an office building, you have to really think about how is it really going to be used. So the basic idea is that you'd have private offices along the perimeter and then some sort of open office space in the middle. You know, and there's lots of office spaces that would be used in that way. It could be a trading room, or it could be just open cubicles for younger staff. But what we did, what's important is we kept the windows along here, along the, I'll call it the solid parts of the building, to be consistent with the architecture of the existing buildings. And I'd say particularly I'll call it the original building. But at the ends, we have lots of windows. And basically the people inside the space would have access to outside light. I started my career many moons ago at IBM, and we did lots and lots of office buildings. And they called it outside awareness. And it really, if you've ever been in an internal office with no windows, you know what I mean. So this is the first floor, and again, it's set up like this could be a controlled doorway, so people coming in to the second floor would use the elevator and not have access to the space. And then the second floor plan is effectively the same. Apologize for that. But I'll just hold this. So, you know, very similar layout. And then as you go up to the top of the building, there's I'll call it a mansard roof. From the outside, it looks like gable roofs, very similar to the existing architecture. But we would have any mechanical units would be up on the roof. So they would not be visible from the ground at all. Or, you know, from the neighbors for that. So with that, let me walk you through the elevations. Let's give this nice paper, but it's really tough to flip the pages. So this is the south elevation facing the parking lot, you might say. And we have a fairly substantial gable element in the middle, which you'll see kind of better in the 3D views. And the window types, the one thing I was thinking about the other night when I dug up these pictures, one possibility is we crown the window frames at the heads, sort of like what's existing. But when we developed the architecture, it was really, what sort of struck me is the barns or the garages or whatever you want to call them are pretty interesting. There's some really, if you look through those pictures, there's some really interesting textures, and that sort of took me in a different direction. So the approach is sort of responding to those as much as anything. And so we have vertical, all the materials will be, natural historic materials. What I would normally do in a situation different than this, I would use ones that are a little bit more durable. But what we have is, painted vertical cedar siding. Now the vertical pays a little bit more homage to the barn buildings than it does to the, the original house. Traditional, and these would be wood windows, probably Marvin or there's some other brands with, that's simulated divided light, which is how they do it these days. And so these are wood windows with wood trim. The roofs would be asphalt shingles to match the rest of the site. It's basically a charcoal gray color. So it's really trying to be in keeping with the existing buildings in the site. And we also have sort of, looking at these, for example, this picture of the original building, there's no canopy over the top, but if you look at some of the older pictures, they actually had one. And what's on site, of course, it's in the, I don't know, this last picture. I'm not sure exactly what that was, but there's a couple of these in the other buildings where it's sort of more of, I wouldn't go as far as calling it Victorian, but sort of, a stoop that has that type of character to it. So, we put that over the front entrance to identify that as the front entrance, develop this as a gable element to clarify that's where you enter the building. And then this would be a typical side elevation with the larger windows in the middle. And yes, if you could grab the big picture or, yeah. This kind of does a better job of, at first, we've kind of reviewed this with a number of people, but when you see it just in elevation, it doesn't quite feel the same as these buildings, but when you see it as a way of sort of, in the fact that there's a barn structure here and another one here, and that sort of breaks it up. And it also does a really good thing on the inside of the building, providing a lot of windows. So that's basically the overall approach to the design. So I could keep talking, but maybe you don't want that. So anyways, so I'm certainly open to hear some questions,
Yeah,
comments.
well, and I'll just add, if I can, we did put in with it, again, there's an expansion of the parking area, and sidewalks, internally to obviously access the building. I will say regarding, some of the things from the handbook, regarding new construction, particularly in a location that didn't previously have a site, you have to design to match the historic character on site. I believe David walked through that. It also talks about, your handbook says that street setbacks and lot placement should not necessarily mirror existing buildings, but should be designed to protect views of such existing building and structures. And I think the nice thing about this location is what's really kind of the main corner here, this is tucked in behind it. And so I think we're protecting the integrity of the view to these original buildings. We're not blocking them in any way. This is set back a little bit behind this. And I mean, really what you have here is the parking lot from, Southport Congregational, and then just this underpass here. So I really don't think we're impeding the views to those existing structure. Handbook also says, finally, to the extent possible, design of new buildings and structures should complement the historic character of the property in question, but also in the surrounding area. As far as the height and size of this building, I'll note that, one, there's already a 2-story building on the property, but also directly abutting, there's that brick building, it's 49 Station Street. It's a 2 3/4 story building that is approximately around 6,500 square feet, which is, we're slightly above that. But I think we're in keeping with what's around us. And again, we don't believe it's visually obtrusive at all, and just blends in with what's on the site and what's in the area. So with that.
One more thing, the very last page of what I handed out is the light fixtures. We have just a few. We don't have site lighting on the site. We have a couple of these that are more or less required for egress. So it's, it's set up that it does not create light pollution, and it's pretty consistent with the style of the building.
And with that, I think we're happy to take any questions, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Darren, do you have any questions?
So I have one question, a couple comments. So before this was Sturm Ruger, it was actually the base for the Northrop Brothers construction firm, which was the construction firm that built a lot of Southport.
Yeah.
And right up the street are about 5 houses, we live in one of them, that were constructed by the Northrop Brothers for their workers. So this is a very old structure, particularly that front structure, the main structure.
Right.
There's a lot of late 19th century photographs of it. So if you haven't seen them, I would definitely have a look at them. I like the idea of taking a nod from that domed, crested
Yeah, I
window
don't know
surround.
what to call them, but I know. what you
Yeah.
mean.
Window surround, decorative surround.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me kind of the idea behind that double peaked gable coming off? the
Yeah, that's a
sidewalk?
great question.
it was really to bring down the scale,
Okay,
but I arguably, it's a little bit McMansion, if you know that term.
yes.
I just made it up, but, so we could. I've looked at that, and one possibility is that instead of stepping that gable,
Mhm.
and without changing the area of the building, I push the outer gable back a little bit and I push the bigger one forward. And we could maybe, simplify that. That was really about scale as much as anything.
Yeah,
And also sort of creating verticality for that entry element.
yeah,
But I could be sold on the idea of, if you look at this, it's not really all that vertical.
Mhm.
And, it's got wonderful charm, right? So I could, then we could simplify that entrance to something more like this facade.
yeah. On a design kind of element level with the other buildings, I think that is very distracting. And it's not. I would like to see it simplified somehow.
That's fine.
Art, do you have any comments or questions?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that, I mean, first of all, I think this is, it's overall, it looks great. It's a huge improvement on what's there. I just, in the interest of time, I was gonna bring up the same comment as Darren did, and she articulated it well, and I support, any alternative that simplifies it. The other thing is, and I'll defer to the rest of the commission, this part here, that canopy, I don't know, was kind of bothering me. It just doesn't really look historic.
That's
That's
exactly,
existing, yeah, just so you know,
yeah.
that is this building right here.
Oh,
So that's the entrance in, and that's where that roof is. And then there's a tree here, but there's a break.
so this is the
That's
existing.
That's the
Yeah.
existing building, yeah.
Oh. Okay, I mean, I was looking for something more like that, but which
Rather
would
than
be in keeping, but that's not gonna be there?
Well,
That's
this is,
existing,
we're not,
That's existing, we're not.
Oh,
we're just leaving it.
withdrawn, thank you.
What is it?
But back to the double gable thing,
Mhm.
one thought was to keep the verticality of that outer gable and then do more of a shed roof coming off.
That could be a possible, I mean.
We could try both.
The other thing that comes to mind, although it's not appropriate for the site, is like a jerkin head gable where you have that sloped. It's just, there's something that draws my eye
I'm
to
with
it
you.
and not in a great way.
Yep.
Especially looking at the rest of the site where you don't have anything even remotely similar. I mean, you have, additions and things, but they're not close in that sort of capacity. You have at least a half a story or something above them. So if that could be simplified, or that second roof line just taken off, just
Yeah,
something.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay.
A shed roof might work just fine too.
Yeah, that's paying homage to the
Mhm.
barn buildings, but yeah,
Yeah.
we'll try a couple things. And how does this work? Do we show you both, or how does?
You can come back for a pre-application where we can talk through it, and there's no formal, it's not a formal application,
Yeah.
and we can talk through all the different options, and then you come back with whichever one you think is most appropriate after that conversation as a full application. I'll
Or could you
defer,
submit the application with both options?
like we've seen earlier today, it's not something we like to do. We don't want to be in the position of deciding for the applicant. We want the applicant to bring to us
Okay.
what they most desire. So we've been suggesting more and more, if there's questions or concerns or comments, pre-applications are really the way to go.
Okay. The other option would just be if we pick one, then just.
Pick one, just bring it
Okay.
to us, and then we'll talk about it. Yeah.
This is, part of doing good design, in my view, is that you let it simmer, you look
Yes.
at it the next day and the next day, and eventually, you look at it the next day and it's like, oh, that's not right, that type of thing.
Okay.
I've been thinking about this a long time. And these are wonderful renderings, meaning the computer does a great job these days. It's remarkable how quickly we can turn things around.
Mhm.
So we should be able to, you know, try some things and come back.
Great, fantastic. My eye is just drawn to it and not
Yep.
in a way that I feel is compatible with the rest of the site.
Got it.
Before we continue, if there's anyone out there that wants to come in, feel free. There's some chairs here, so more than welcome. Maura, do you have any questions?
One question, is the entire site within the historic district?
Is the entire site? Yes, I believe so.
Sorry.
Yes. You okay? Yeah, you got.
I didn't want to conflict with the chair.
No, no worries.
No, I meant the people.
I could confirm that, but yeah, I'm almost assured that that we are.
I just, such a simple question, but I just wanted to make sure. So the other thing, I think to Darren's point, it's kind of interesting, it's back to your eye, is how even in this picture, it has, you know, it's not quite as a peak and just having this little vent, the character of it. It's kind of making me think again about just there's something about how simple that front is. Versus if you look at this and then you look at the double peak again, you know, I think it is back to just something to bring a little more old character as opposed to modern character.
Right.
And yes, it is fully within.
That's it.
Thank you.
Kim?
So I'm not opposed to what you present here at all. To me, it does what it needs to do, and I like the trimmer on the windows, the way this is presented. I do see where people are going in the sense of this direction and, vent up here. If you did go this direction, I would go with this window treatment that's on here. I'd go back to this look, like we were talking about.
Yeah,
But I also like this one as well.
Yeah, yes.
It would just be a stronger nod.
It would be, yes.
So one. Responded to showing that the elevation facing the railroad.
Yeah.
Which I actually really like. It's just wonderfully simple. But if that had these, it would just be that much more. Now it's a little bit, these are 5.5 inch trim all over. I'm all about beefy trim. But in this case, you've got a thinner trim on the sides and then I don't know what you call it, gable, you know, head on the windows, which I'd be inclined to do it that way. If you're gonna do it right.
You're right.
You know, that's one thing about, we do quite a bit of historical based architecture, you know, and buildings that I'm not as constrained. I don't love modern architecture, contemporary architecture. I think a lot of it's not that good. So I've sort of fallen on a simplified version of traditional. But when you do traditional architecture, the proportions are incredibly important. And, you know, we've done buildings that are true Georgian buildings. In the skill, you know, there's great books about how to do it. And you really read them carefully, you really think it through. And as opposed to if you do it badly, it looks awful. So that's the one point I would make about those windows. If we do it, we'll, you know, probably a little bit thinner on the sides and then
Right.
make something at the top. Are you back to the vent? Are you, I mean, we could do a vent. We have to do vents somewhere. Is that something that strikes you as a good thing or is that?
I mean, that's original to the building.
Right.
If you Google Northrop Brothers Station Street,
Yeah,
you'll see pictures come up from the 1890s. And you can see exactly what that building looked like before it even had that little pop out
Right.
addition. That kind of crown on the window surround is there, the vent is there. I would suggest looking at those,
Sure.
just to get more of a little bit of a nod. But in general, I agree with the other commissioners. There's minor things here that.
yeah. How about the vertical versus horizontal siding? I mean, again, you're influenced by the barns and by the way, there's some way cool siding patterns, stuff we can't do anymore. You know, if you go deeper into like the third page, well, second page, third page, there's some interesting, I'm sorry, second, whatever. I'm missing a page in mine, but, I kind of like the variations of the siding. It kind of adds some life to the site. And that's, you know, I could go either way, but I think the vertical is just, you're not expecting it.
Not expecting it, but then this building isn't really trying to be a barn.
Yeah. No, it's not.
It wasn't a barn, or it
wasn't
was an
a barn.
outbuilding.
Yeah,
So that's my debate.
right.
I don't have a super strong, I think it's gonna be the combination of all these things together when.
Yeah. That's fair.
I think I agree. I mean, it's kind of barn-like, but it's not a barn, so yeah, I agree with Maura. A kind of a variation might be appropriate.
It's some, you know, okay.
And again, look at those 19th century pictures. You'll see on the main building, the front is vertical, but the sides have a different treatment historically.
Right.
It's hard to see in the pictures, but it's not a vertical siding.
And we're getting more into what a pre-application should have been. So
Sorry.
perhaps we
my
can kind of ask the other ones, if they have any questions or comments,
Sure,
so that we can move things forward. So,
that's fine.
Jim, you're good?
Yep.
George?
Hi, yeah, I think that's an interesting idea, Regina. One question I have, and it really relates back to your earlier submissions, is the height of the building. Is it going to be visible over the top of Congregational Church?
I don't think so.
Well, I think there's a faction of Southport that have mentioned to me on multiple occasions that that would be a disruption to them.
Have the elevation.
I don't know.
Sorry, I'm trying to flip to the elevations.
Well, the height of the building is 22 feet 4 inches plus the gables. So overall height for zoning is 26 feet 4 1/4. You know, that's midway at the gables. That's how zoning looks at it.
I'm strictly talking to visual, not building. The question is, am I going to see the building over the top of the Congregational Church?
The other thing I could show you, just an aerial. So we're back here in this corner. Sorry, this is a zone plan, so that's why it's got all the shading. It's back here in this corner. You can see the church is fully in front of it.
I don't know the height of the church.
I don't know,
but
I don't know the height of the church there.
If you, I would,
All I know is that I
These are
asked
classrooms,
this
is where I went to
question.
preschool.
I don't know, was it 3 or 4 years ago when you presented the earlier plan? Exactly the same question. And we suggested that they pole the building to put a pole up so that you could confirm the elevation of your building finished. And then is it visible, yes or no, over the top of the church?
that's fine. From, the other
would
question is from where? Because if you're
Yeah,
on the street,
yeah, if you're on the street, definitely not, but I mean, unless you're over here.
Probably be talking from the parking lot, but
And I wonder too, I mean, this site has seen a lot of different iterations of plans. I know there was
Yep.
one plan at one point that had an L-shaped building, I think it was an L-shaped building right here, that was residential. And, you know, we shifted away from that plan. And now, I mean, we're basically tucking this building as much as you can into the corner as we possibly could.
right,
But we'll try to get those figures for you.
really it's the same question, though. At the end of the day, whether it's the residential building or the commercial building, is it visible? And, can we assure the constituents in Southport, the historic district, that the building's not going to be visible from the street. You know, so I think we got to get the information on the table.
Okay.
Fair?
Are you,
Other than that-
I just
other
want to
than
make
that,
sure I'm clear. You're saying, is it visible from Pequot Ave? Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I got you.
Is it visible from Pequot Avenue?
Okay.
I don't know. It looks it's you brought it down in scale, but I think I'd feel better, you know, seeing this move forward with the information in hand,
Sure. Yeah, we
as
can get that.
opposed to not asking the question when you know it's been a question that's been asked. I think at least on 2 prior submissions. Okay. Other than that, I think I kind of support Darren's concept. I'm not sure the double gable roof, that extension going on is is not confusing. I think it might be nicer to simplify, but I think you've done a lot of things to make the building more blend into the environment. So that was my only question.
Thank you. Take it.
Jim Bohan recused himself from this application, and he's not in the presentation. So Greg, do you have any questions or comments?
Nope, I agree with all the comments that have been made, and I don't have any other questions though. Yep.
Okay. And I do not have anything further to add to everyone else. But all the comments I agree with. So, let's see. Is there anyone from the public who has any questions?
There's some comments.
Go
Looking
ahead.
for comments?
Yep. Questions or comments?
Hi, I'm Jack Franzen. I'm kind of representing the church because I've been a member for 40 years, but also the people on Pequot Court. And some of them also are church people. And I wasn't really looking to speak much about the building so much as the site issues. But I do agree with the comments that I heard, and I think, you know, the 2-story new building, the more it looks like the 2-story old building, sort of makes sense to me versus the 1-story buildings, to differentiate those rather than have a third type of building on the site. I reviewed the application. I'm just going to read this quickly in the plans that have been submitted. And I think that with what's here now, there's not enough information for you to make a decision. And it sounds like maybe it's going to be another hearing anyway, because some of the comments will require some design from the architect.
Yeah.
When the TPZ approved this application, they made several conditions. One was an updated tree survey, and tree preservation plan. They wanted to make sure that trees that had root zones that were being threatened were being addressed to the tree warden satisfaction. And the fatal loss occurs replaced with 3-to-1 caliper inch or equivalent as approved. These are all things that would be subject to town staff reviewing them. Also, plan revisions to achieve condition 2. They stated revised site engineering is needed, relocate, resize stormwater features, adjust, relocate retaining walls, reroute existing utilities and proposed utilities, reduce paved areas. I believe that there is a request to use the parking reduction that's available in zoning. And the staff at zoning is entitled to approve that. Parking, reduce on-site parking where supported by shared use. In Station Street sidewalk, build an ADA compliant sidewalk along Station Street and tie into the nearest existing facilities with field adjustments to close logical gaps while coordinating tree preservation. So in order to satisfy these conditions, I believe there will need to be some changes, perhaps substantial ones to the design. I believe that design required to address the TPZ's concern for tree preservation may require adjustment to the proposed retaining walls And the retaining walls are shown on some of the plans, but not on others. And there are no elevations of the retaining wall. So if there are going to be retaining walls, I know the commission usually requests to see the elevations. Is it stucco? Is it concrete? Is it stone? Is it stone veneer? I think that's very important. The plans do not show the reduced parking, so some of the parking is going to go away. And in speaking for the church, I think it would be great if it was the two spaces that are closest to the church driveway, which would just give us a little more green space in that area. The plans do not show. The other thing I'm a little bit worried about is with that retaining wall, and hopefully it can move back if it's needed, is that's a really narrow driveway, and that's the only way out of the way the church parking lot is. It's a clockwise circulation pattern, and it's very busy. There's the daycare center there and thrift shop. And in the winter, there could be a snow plowing issue where the snow is going to get stored. Yeah, there's sort of a snow shelf that may be diminished. I think there's also a very large tree right at that juncture between Pequot Court houses and the church property. Also on the site plan, it says Belgian block curbing. I don't think the commission allows that. Sometimes you see it in town, but usually it was either done before the regs were updated or somebody did it inappropriately. Typically, a new building of this type would have gutters and leaders. There aren't any shown. I'm assuming that inner area with the mechanicals would have a roof drain, but I would think there'd be some gutters on the outside. The stockade fence is shown on the site plan, but it's not listed on the application. Again, the guidebook does not allow stockade fences. And again, this is a really sensitive area because of just the amount of people that see it, whether it's from the railroad tracks or the church property or looking up the driveway. There's a proposed dumpster, and it does show a picture of it in the rendering, but there's no elevation of it or architectural drawings. And I think it's important to know how that's going to look because those things take a lot of use. A minor thing, which is a propane tank, is shown over on the railroad track side, but I'm not sure if that requires some vegetative screening. Anyway, it's my opinion there's not enough information here for your commission to approve the application. The details that still need to be worked out will make a big difference. The property in question has remained the same for a very long time. I've been in town almost 50 years, and we've all gotten used to it the way it was. The Ruger family was very generous, and at one time the church was allowed to use the southern part of that area where the new building and parking is going as our church playground. So we're used to all this greenery and nature back there. And the neighbors realize that you guys have a right to develop your property, but we do expect the changes will conform to what TBZ is requiring. And once that's dealt with, that any design changes will be something that you can look at holistically along with the building. That's basically what I have to say.
Thank you.
And then I have a copy if you would like to have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public that has any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. We did not receive any letters in favor of this application, but we did receive letters opposing this application.
Okay. First letter in opposition dated December 30th, 2025 to the members of the commission. As a resident of 494 Pequot Court in Southport, I am again writing to express my strong opposition to the approved zoning change and subsequent development at 65 Station Street. Because my home is adjacent to this property, my family and I would be directly and significantly impacted by this development, especially as it pertains to lighting and parking. Exterior lights already shine into my bedroom at all hours, as do the headlights of cars parking along my back fence. When I moved here in 2023, My goal was to find a quiet historic area to reside in. This is quite the opposite of what we are facing today. Traffic is already abysmal on 95, and cars diverting along Pequot Avenue cause crazy congestion during rush hours. Besides the additional traffic, I believe this project will overwhelm the historic nature of this neighborhood. Beyond the immediate impacts, I am deeply concerned about the precedent the approval of this project sets. Allowing this development would open the door to further projects that undermine the historic integrity of Southport Village, a community whose unique character and heritage deserve protection. I am a member of the Neighborhood Coalition opposing this project, and I urge you to consider the impact the neighbors face due to the zoning change and subsequent development of 65 Station Road. Protecting the scale, safety, and historic fabric of Southport is in the best interest of all residents. Thank you. Sincerely, Kathleen Liddy. Another letter in opposition dated January 7th, 2026 to the HDC commissioners. My husband and I live with our 2-year-old son at 46 Station Street, which is diagonally across the street from 65 Station Street property, for which SF Station Street LLC is proposing a large-scale commercial development. We are concerned about this proposal for many reasons. 1, permanent conversion to commercial building. Further commercial development at the heart and entry point to historic Southport Village and within historic district will permanently alter the physical landscape and its historic integrity in a way that cannot be taken back, and with a scope and scale larger and inconsistent with nearby residential properties. 2, impact the physical landscape. The addition of 50% more parking spaces in this new building construction will permanently remove green space from the lot, including older trees, and materially change the lot's landscaping as seen from the street. 3, increased lighting. There is already significant light pollution from the existing property and nearby train station. This larger development will only increase that light pollution, impacting adjacent lots and nearby neighbors. No one wants their living and sleeping spaces lit up at night with the additional lighting that will come from this larger development. This is from Christine Ford. Third letter dated January 7th, 2026. Dear Commissioners, as abutting neighbors of the 65 Station Street property, we are writing to express our objections to the Summit Development application. Guidelines provided on page 63 of the HDC handbook state that the Commission may specify the type, height, and density of year-round planting and may require that the planting plan be submitted and approved prior to submitting the certificate of appropriateness. This application fails to reflect the TPZ conditions of approval specified at the November 13, 2025 TPZ hearing, which granted the application by Summit Development for a zone change, a new building and parking expansion at 65 Station Street. As a condition of approval, the TPZ Commission required that the applicant meet the tree wardens to survey all existing mature trees, create a tree protection plan, and relocate and re-engineer the catch basin and retaining walls in order to preserve the existing trees and their root systems. I believe this might have been covered in what was read earlier, but I'll still read it. The application before the HDC today does not reflect that this condition has been met. There is not an updated existing condition plan or site plan that accurately maps all trees, including the large tree that was flagged as not recorded on the Summit Development November 13th, 2025 application to the TPZ with arborist certification and tree warden concurrence. We contend that the absence of a certified existing tree plan required a precondition of TPZ approval makes this application incomplete and therefore not eligible for review at this time by the HDC. The tree preservation plan should be considered by the Commission as a significant and important aspect of the 65 Station Street HDC certification of appropriateness application. The mature trees are existing assets of the site that provide critical screening and significantly enhance the existing rural aesthetic of the site. They are vital elements when considered from the view corridors of the abutting neighbors, and they contribute to the beauty of the Station Street, a designed scenic road by enhancing the view across 65 Station Street property towards the Southport Congregational Church and by providing critical green space. The omission of an updated landscape plan by the applicant, given its close proximity to residential neighbors, its importance to the aesthetic of the Station Street scenic road, and its importance to maintaining the historic character of the site, should, in our opinion, provide the denial of the application by the commission. In addition, HDC guidelines provided in Chapter 2 Design Guidelines, page 66 of the HDC handbook, state that the new construction in such areas that have no recent history of buildings or structures shall be sensitive to the historical character of the site. New buildings constructed on a subdivided lot or on a lot that has not had buildings or structures since the creation of HDC shall be designed to retain as much possible of the visual historic streetscapes. And then after that, it's cut off. Was there a page 2 to this at all? It doesn't continue on the back, it just kind of ends.
I believe that was it.
Okay, I'll read the next one.
Let me start reading the next one and let me
Okay,
check.
you see how it just kind of ends up there?
Yeah.
The last one, again, in opposition, this is from the Sasquatch Association to the commissioners. I'm writing to urge you to deny the Summit Development's application for a certificate of appropriateness at 65 Station Street. For reference, please find attached the 65 Station Street conditions of approval issued by the Fairfield TPZ, which approved their application with conditions for a zone change, a new building, and expanded parking on November 13, 2025. The 65 Station Street application has not been updated to reflect the conditions for approval as stipulated by the Fairfield TPZ Commission. At a minimum, the site plan does not include the updated tree survey or the adjustments to parking, which were TPZ conditions of approval. In our opinion, these updates are necessary to determine whether the application meets HDC guidelines governing maintaining the historical character of the site, the historic streetscape, and the interface with other historic properties that are losing the residential A buffer zone. The Sasquatch Conservancy opposed the 65 Street Station application at the TPC hearing in November, particularly the expansion of the NDBD zone into the residential A zone, former split zone, in the Southport Historic District. This unfortunate decision by the TPC has set precedent for commercial expansion into a residential zone in perpetuity. The TPZ voted to approve the application despite a petition signed by 68 neighbors residing within the 500-foot radius of the site, as opposed to 65 Station Street TPZ application. The decision is under appeal. I provide this background so that you can see how invested the residents are in this historic district property and urge the commissioners to require the applicant to submit an application that addresses the conditions of the TPZ. An updated application would give the historic district commissioners a more complete application to review. Signed, Laura Grayson, President, Sasquatch.
So I apologize for having cut things off.
Start with the last sentence, drawing C10, if you guys want to line.
Yes,
Where's it? Oh, my God.
I know.
Jesus.
So start with drawing C10 of the 65 Street conditions grade.
I can read.
It doesn't help, it stays the same, no, it's fine. Drawing C-1.0 of the 65 Station Street application shows the dashed line identified as a stockade fence that runs along the border of the abutting neighbor's property, southern neighbors, and along the property line with Southport Congregational Church, view from the west. On page 8 of the 65 Station Street application, there are renderings that include, quote, a view from the southern neighbors, end quote, that shows a rendering of the stockade style fence, yet there is no request for fencing in the application, nor are there any visual exhibits that show a proposed material, color, or height of fence for consideration and review. The applicant shows features on the application that are not explained. The applicant treats the property line features, which, like fencing, would be critical considerations for abutting neighbors, with a vagueness that further underscores the incompleteness of the application. The presence of fencing as a landscape feature that is shown on drawings in the application is not adequately explained or addressed. The applicant has successfully prevailed upon this TPZ to approve a zone change that subsumes an existing residential A zone into an existing NDBD zone in the Southport Historic District. The change in setbacks from residential A to NDBD will significantly impact the quality of life for the residential neighbors unless the historic landscape screening is protected and considered an important historic feature, as was intended by the Fairfield TPZ Commission when they established their conditions for approval on November 13th, 2025. We urge the commission in your role as careful stewards of the Southport Historic District to deny this application on the grounds that the applicant has not submitted key required documents that give supporting evidence of the developer's intention to maintain the historic character of the site as it relates to its neighbors and as it relates to the scenic road, Station Street, within the Southport Historic District. Sincerely, Jennifer and Devin Murphy, 500 Pequot Court. Evelyn Lynn Plant Wynn, 504 Pequot Court. Kathleen Linehan, 494 Pequot Court. She also submitted her own. Linehan. Ann Shaw, 490 Pequot Court. And the trustees of the Southport Congregational Church, 524 Pequot Avenue.
And we have a continuation. It was the opposition letter that had points 1, 2, and 3. Also had points 4 and 5. Point 4 is insufficient commercial need. Vacant commercial space already exists at 49 John Street, around the corner from the station, that has been available for months. I'm reading it 3 feet with trifocal lens. Decreased property values for neighborhood residents, a development of the scale that will dwarf the surrounding properties, bringing 50% more vehicle traffic will only decrease property values for the neighborhood residents. As the character of our residential street materially shift towards a more commercialized zone versus the quaint and peaceful character it has today. In conclusion, and I think this is in conclusion, considering all the above, and especially the permanent change to the streetscape and green space, as well as the lighting impact that this application will cause to the historic district of Southport, we kindly ask you to deny it. And this was from Christine.
You will forward the
Oh,
total
To
to
them,
Chris?
yes.
Okay.
Yep. So that was where all the letters opposing this application. Anything else that you guys?
Well, Chair, I guess the question is, how to proceed. I mean, I'm sure you want to move things along expeditiously. I mean, I could respond to them, but it sounds like we're coming back anyway. So maybe it makes sense to just withdraw and refile it. I mean, we could continue it, but I know you typically don't do continuances, so I mean, we can do that as well. So I mean, but that seems way. I will say there's some things that are discussed that are requirements of P and Z, which we would satisfy when we went for a permit. We have the landscaping plan, so I'm happy to submit that. I typically don't usually when I submit to HCC, but if the commission wants to see it, I mean, I can certainly submit it, but
So can I just answer that really quick? So landscaping is outside of our jurisdiction, but I think with an application like this, I'm not going to speak for the rest of the commissioners, but I would like to see some screening. That's part of the conditional, any approval that may or may not be given. So I would like to see the landscaping plan in case any of that is already taken into consideration.
And we need to see the fences.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fences that you see in the renderings is our understanding of the neighbor's fence. It's not us. So we'll confirm they exist and we'll straighten that out.
And the retaining walls too.
Yeah.
The retaining wall is a separate issue and I
Okay.
understand the need to understand what they look like,
Right, okay.
right? But that's, yeah, we'll have to work with the site, the civil engineer and the landscapers to make sure. And the other thing is, what I heard is the parking. At the time we submitted the P and Z, that was what the regulations.
right,
I think
yeah,
that-
I was gonna address that. So what the commissioner was speaking to is the commission is moving in a more progressive direction with regards to parking. They don't have a regulation yet that would allow us to reduce our parking, but I think it's coming in the future.
That's
I think-
state legislation.
There was an acknowledgement that this site probably doesn't need this much parking, and we kind of feel the same way, but we have to conform to the regulations. So in the future, we may, if they approve that regulation, we would reduce it, but we can't do that at the time. And the other thing I would just say, Commissioner, is regarding the landscaping, my only pause, I mean, I'll certainly submit the information, but the tree warden, they put the tree warden in charge of reviewing things. So the tree warden may, whatever we show, he may come and change it. And
Totally understand. I just so we have an understanding of the overall plan for the site, whether or not as I said, landscaping is outside of our jurisdiction. We have in the past as conditions of approval, since, screening in perpetuity for whatever the case may be that we're reviewing. It always helps me just to have an understanding of overall site
Yeah.
when I'm
And we
reviewing.
also have to know, because if you've got dumpsters and propane tanks, we have to know how you deal, because we do have to deal with if it's sitting out there.
Yeah, there's a lot, I think when we come back, there's a lot of comments that I feel like, we can address, but,
Okay.
to move things along, I think we can just address that on a resubmission, unless there's something that in particular you were wondering
But
about.
just to clarify, the landscaping, do you want to see that at a pre-application informal meeting?
I just want to see like just an
Right,
overall
but,
site plan.
procedurally, I don't know that they should be submitting that at
No, I just-
certificate of appropriateness.
They don't need to give me like a step by step. I just want to see some sort of.
And I think that's great, but where do you want to see that in a pre-app or as part of an application?
It can be as part of the application, we just wouldn't
Just
want
like,
it.
Yeah, it just isn't part
That's
of.
why I'm saying, why submit it as part of the formal application if we can't rule, if it's not part
Because
of
it
our.
gives you the whole perspective of the site.
Yeah,
It's
it just
part of the
isn't-
streetscape.
I think that's more for an informal and a pre-app. That's for context, but I'm not gonna belabor it, but I don't know that it's appropriate to submit it,
Well, but the landscaping includes what's there, what can we see, what can we see from this angle, what can we see from that angle?
Right,
And
but
their
it's not gonna impact our decision as to appropriateness.
But their application would include that picture, but not, would not, wouldn't be like D landscaping plan. Like A building, B retaining wall, C pool, whatever. D landscaping plan. It wouldn't be called out in the application, so we wouldn't be ruling on it. It's just an overview.
So you can see it, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, and that's why I was asking that question, because if it was a condition of the HTC approval,
No.
and the tree warden said no.
No,
That's not.
Then the tree
No,
warden
the-
would have control.
but to Maura's point, where you have a dumpster, if that's the place where the dumpster is, we very well might say, with the stipulation that this is screened in perpetuity.
Right,
Type
okay,
of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And the items that Jack mentioned, which were part of the motion to approve,
Oh,
those will be helpful if we can include them somehow so that everyone knows they're being addressed.
Okay. Yeah, I can look at it and see, well, I'll look at it and respond to it in the next one.
okay.
So but procedurally, it seems to make sense then, withdraw it and then refile.
Thank
Anything
you for
else?
your
That's it?
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
The next one is the Fairfield Country Day School Corporation, 315 Brunson Road, Fairfield, Connecticut, for a property located at 3015 Brunson Road. A, demolition of an existing shed and maintenance building. B, the construction of a new two-story, 8,400 square foot athletic center, including mechanical and Zamboni garage. C, the installation of a canopy structure over the existing ice rink with a portion of the structure enclosed on its southern end. The installation of a new pervious parking area on the eastern end of the site. E, installation of an expansion of driveway across access around the parking area and the ice rink and athletic center. F, installation of new ADA compliant sidewalks. G, installation of new path and parking lighting around the parking areas and walkways to the new athletic center. Is there anyone here representing this application?
Okay, long time no see. So Rizio Laws, offices at 10 Saskville Hill Road, in Fairfield, here on behalf of the applicant. To orient you, this is the survey. So Bronson Road, other side is the main campus of Fairfield Country Day. You might remember we were here a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, about that.
About a year.
You were here for the playground and sports court on the other side, which seeing the sports court looks a lot better. Now we are On the other side, so we're just focusing on this property that's across the street where we have an existing dwelling, an informal parking area, an ice rink where my brother used to play terrible hockey, and their existing maintenance shed that supports the hockey rink. So the proposal is to demolish that building and construct both a canopy roof over the existing ice rink, and then a athletic center. It's 8,400 square feet athletic center. It includes locker rooms, coaches' rooms, some space for the students, but it also includes some mechanicals and a Zamboni garage. The other part of this is some site work, which is the installation of impervious parking area to formalize the parking that's over there on that side. It's a total of 42 spaces that'll be over there. And then just also some compliant sidewalks, some lighting, and we'll show you those fixtures to help people, all the kids and people who are visiting to get down to the ice rink. I'll show you the site plan, and then I'll turn it over to Eric Kayer, who can run through the details. But again, here you can see, here's the existing entrance in. This is where 42 spaces, these will be formalized in purpose parking area. There will also be a drive that's added to the northern side of that parking area to help flow through this area. We also have some extension here of that drive for proper fire access. We've worked with the fire marshal on the access to this. And then you can see these sidewalks along here going to the athletic center and then obviously the rink. It's partially open. There is one side of it that's enclosed. That's to protect the neighbors. We've had some discussions with the neighbors just as far as noise and things like that. But otherwise, you'll see it in what Eric's going to show you. But it's partially open. And the other thing you'll note, and I'll just kind of have you keep in your head as you're looking through everything, and I know some of you have been out to the site, there's some grade changes there that we're taking advantage of, where it dips down before this building right here, where the existing garage, I should say. So with that, I will turn it over to Eric, who's somewhere around here. Oh, he's over there. Okay, and so he can go through his presentation.
Thanks, Chris. It's actually, I'm on this side of the classroom.
Do you want to borrow this?
Oh, no, if I can just ask you to
Sounds good.
flip through, that would be amazing.
Yep.
Hopefully everybody can see that screen. I'm gonna talk from over here so that people can see me, but, or is it best for me to be over there and talk?
Up to you.
Why don't I stand over on this side?
I have the presentation too.
So hi, I'm Eric Kayer, KG Architects. I met several of you back in August when we did the site visit. That was really helpful from our point of view. Hopefully it was helpful from yours as well. At that point, we had a whole series of presentation boards where we showed saw the existing conditions and the proposed conditions. So we'll go through that. We also have a series of materials. What was really helpful at that meeting is we really did talk, at least in concept, about the materials that were going on the building. And you gave us a lot of excellent feedback, and hopefully all the materials that are actually being selected here align with those conversations. You can see the hockey rink right here in the middle of the picture. This is the West Campus with Bronson Road basically on the left side, and you can see a little bit of the main campus on the far left. You can go to the next slide. I think it's just a 4. Perfect. Professional. So this is actually from the other north is up the page, at the top of the page. You can see Bronson Road on the right side, the existing septic field, grass area where sometimes for special events, et cetera, there's a little bit of parking. You can see where the existing open air rink is. The biggest part about this project is to cover it up. Tomorrow night, it's supposed to pour. It makes it really hard to play hockey when it's pouring and there's no. If we can go to the next slide. Oh, actually, just stay there for a second. It's all right. Too fast.
You're five.
So the existing driveway is 12 feet wide. There's about a 4-foot island, which you can see right where that arrow is. And then just below that is the sidewalk. So all the kids go from the main campus, they cross the street at that crosswalk, and then there's a sidewalk for a short period of time, which basically leads to where the existing parking area is. That existing parking area is just dirt. It was grass, people parked there over time, it's sort of turned into dirt. We are planning to widen that driveway from 12 feet to 15 feet to align with our access requirements. And instead of having that 5-foot green island, which has bushes and a couple trees in it, it's going to be a green lawn area about the same width. And that sidewalk is going to extend all the way down to the rink. So the kids don't have to walk on the driveway. They walk on the sidewalk, walk all the way down. And we don't have to make that driveway 20 feet wide. We can keep it at 15, so it's very close to the way it looks today. And in fortunate case of an emergency where a fire truck might have to go on the property there, it can utilize the grass, it can utilize the sidewalk if it has to, and get the truck all the way down to where it needs to go. We are also, because we're only making this 15 feet wide, are proposing at the top of the page here also have a 12-foot wide entrance driveway. So it can loop around because we're planning to improve the parking area, having people, parents, etc., visitors drive in, utilize that parking, and then exit out the existing driveway. That way, again, we don't have to make that existing driveway 20 feet wide and make it look so commercial. You can see that there's a whole slew of existing trees here. We're not planning to take any of those trees down, with the exception of the ones that are immediately adjacent and in front of where the Zamboni and mechanical building is. That's immediately adjacent to the rink. And so you'll see that because that's where we're planning to build a new athletic center. We can go to the next slide now. So this shows that improvement. So you can see that this driveway here has gone from 12 feet to 15 feet wide. We've extended that green area. Again, that's grass. And directly below that, you can see in gray that there's a sidewalk which leads all the way to the upper terrace, which is going to be a bluestone terrace, or it leads down the hill to the main entrance. As Chris mentioned at the beginning, this site slopes about 10 feet from Bronson down to the entrance, 10 to 12 feet. So it's considerably downhill, and that works to our advantage because it really hides the volume of this proposed roof of the rink. At the top of the page here, you can see that this is the new proposed 12-foot wide access road that's immediately opposite the egress from the main campus, so that it would align. So anybody who's sort of circumnavigating both sides of Bronson could drive straight across into two improved parking areas. That those areas would be gravel. And if you go out there, you'll look at, there are more trees out there today than what's shown here. We are planning to take down a few of the trees. Those trees are planned to be taken down because they have some useful life. They're not in good condition. And a couple of them obviously are in the way for us to be able to create the plus or minus 40 parking spaces that we're trying to create on that site. Again, that parking lot is gravel. The way we're defining is there's actually, if you look at the landscape details, there's some granite blocks every 9 feet that are defining the different parking spaces so that we can maximize the parking on that side. The sidewalk itself is planned to be, it's an oil and gravel, and asphalt, and so it looks, you'll see some pictures of that in a second. Just finalizing this, so there's new landscape around the proposed, when we say athletic center, this building right here is the athletic center, that volume. When we talk about the rink, it's the big box. When we're talking about the mechanical and Zamboni building, that's the offshoot of the athletic center down the bottom of the page. Go to the next slide. I'm not gonna spend much time on this because it's pretty much the same, but if we need to talk about any sort of details in the site, this shows the overall footprint of the property that's owned by Fairfield Country Day School, which includes an additional parcel up here, which is a residential property. Next slide. So this shows the survey of the existing conditions. Again, we moved the 12-foot wide existing driveway and that sidewalk, which stops at this point and then loops around and ties into the swimming pool that's on the other side of the house. Next. I think I just asked you to go one more because it's your turn. So again, if we have any questions associated with how, what the layout is, you see the driveway at the top, it loops around by the house. There's some parking immediately adjacent to the residence, and then looping back out and exiting out at the southern end of that parcel. So just to go over all the site materials. So the driveway and parking area, the driveway is asphalt. Parking spaces is of course gravel. Sidewalks is exposed aggregate pebbles and asphalt, which aligns with what was previously approved for some sidewalks that are currently out there. Site lighting, we have some low bollards, and you'll see some pictures of each of these in a moment. Those bollards are 42 inches tall and very simple, and then just to illuminate the walkway from Bronson down to the rink. The terrace is bluestone pavers, and we have ashlar pattern granite stone walls, which we also have some photographs of, and we actually just constructed some stone walls on the main campus side, and we have a photograph of that. Landscape materials. So you can see in this picture right here, we updated our signs over the course of the last couple of years, and this is not on the West Campus side. There's no new signage actually. There's an existing mailbox, and there's a sign that hangs off that existing mailbox, which was approved by, I believe, you all. And that is existing to remain. We're not planning to change that at all. So where it says new West Campus sign, it's actually the existing sign. Entrance planting areas, as mentioned, we're eliminating the island for safety, but we're maintaining all the trees. We're maintaining the stone wall that's on the left side, as well as the fence that's on top of that stone wall. All that is existing to remain. Parking lot, we're maintaining all the healthy trees, but we are removing some of the unhealthy ones. In terms of adjacent to the building, we are adding some ornamental trees, some shrubs and perennial plantings around both the athletic center as well as East Terrace. And then at the south end of the parcel adjacent to where we're proposing the new rink roof, there's existing evergreens and existing deciduous trees all along that southern property line. We're planting additional evergreen trees, and that's part of the proposal as well. Evergreen for screening between our parcel and the neighbors. Yeah, sorry. Okay, just quickly, the top right, you can shows the parking area with the coarse gravel. And you can see that it does have some granite edging there. So there is some granite detail and it's proposed in our plan as well. The bottom right shows the stone walls with bluestone caps. That's taken on main campus, but that would be consistent around the upper terrace. And then you can see the simple bollard that's being proposed that will be all along the sidewalk leading down to the west. Thanks. We are proposing one fenced area. This is on the south end of the parcel. There's a mechanical unit. There's actually an existing fence that doesn't look too dissimilar to this. We're planning to basically match it. The southern side of our building is proposed to have a natural look where the rest of the building you'll see is all white. And this was a discussion with the neighbor. And so the fence also would be a natural fence and it would, you can see some of the detail in there. It would be tall to hide as well as address some of the sound aspects of having mechanical equipment on the exterior building. That has to do with the cooling of the ice. So the view from Bronson in the bottom left corner, that's the existing photograph. The rest is computer generated by our office. And you can see from here in the distance, you can see the existing house that's there. And straight ahead, you can see a little bit of so the upper part of the facade and the roof of that rink in the distance. And you can see the sidewalk that extends all the way down. One thing we aren't showing in this rendering, and you can see in the top left corner, is the mailbox with the sign. So that mailbox and sign is somewhere just to the right of where that person is walking, to the left, and as we're facing him, and that will stay. Next. So once we're on the property, we're getting close to the building. What we refer to as the athletic center is the portion to the left of the tree. The ice rink is to the right of the tree. And that's the portion of the rink that you would actually see as you're coming down the driveway. The sidewalk splits so that half of the sidewalk to the left goes up and stays at that upper level. We're taking full advantage of the pitch of the site here so that we have direct access on both levels at grade. I'm going to hold off talking materials. All the exterior siding is going to be natural cedar. It's a board and batten look, barn look to it. When we met in August, we talked about several different colors of what those barn doors should be. And I think that the response back was that they should be in the gray tones. And so that's what we ultimately did. And it sort of aligns with what the colors of the stone wall as well as the roofing colors would be. So that all kind of ties together. The roofs, there's two different types of roofs. We have an architectural asphalt roof on the athletic center. And then on the top of the cupolas, as well as on top of the rink, we have a standing seam metal roof. Big reasons for putting a standing seam metal roof on top of the rink has to do with on the backside, we're proposing to have photovoltaics. And the clipping system for photovoltaics works much better on the standing seam. Go to the next slide. So the photo on the right is a similar project that we did. So you can see in this project, it's an architectural asphalt shingle roof, and it has details that are standing seam painted metal. You can also see that it has a vertical look. This doesn't have the board and batten, but it does have a white vertical cedar finish to it, as well as it has a stone base. And so that ashlar stone base is something that we are also planning to utilize on this project to tie in the stone walls with the building. So the athletic center materials, the base, ashlar granite base, siding, board and batten look, the cedar siding, trim painted white. Windows will be natural wood windows, painted white. So the in our specification, it's either a Marvin or Pella window. These are not aluminum clad, they're natural wood, which would be pre-finished coming out site and finished paint on site. Most of those windows that are seen from the street are double hung. There are some windows that are awning windows as well as we wrap around the sides. We talked about the roof. The cupolas will also be constructed out of cedar, painted with a standing seam metal cap tool. There's two different cupolas. The one that's most visible from the street actually has glass windows, similar to what you see in this photograph. The other one is actually being utilized as for the mechanical systems. And so it's louvered as opposed to glass. We have some building mounted lighting, and you'll see a couple pictures of that. It's a barn style gooseneck, black, full cut off fixture. The ice rink materials are generally the same. The only difference we mentioned already is standing seam metal roof for the photovoltaics. We'll see that the north end of the rink is open. The south end is closed for sound reduction to the immediate adjacent neighbors. We are utilizing a pre-engineered steel system for construction that will be painted. And the inside, and you'll see some renderings of that, inside is natural wood on the ceiling. And actually the steel will be painted to generally match the wood so that it mostly just sort of recedes into the overall look of the wood, the natural wood ceiling. Existing rink is to remain. We have boards, and benches, and penalty boxes. That's all to remain. I think we can go to the next slide. So this shows some of the materials. Starting from the right, we're using a timberline architectural asphalt shingle roof. Next, and that's on again on the athletic center. On the rink roof, that's the metal roof, standing seam metal. The next one to the left, there's the board and batten cedar sided. Comes out natural. It'll be probably primed and off-site and then finished painted on-site. And then you can see the weathered field stone look, which is an ashlar pattern. It will look like that. They'll be rectilinear. There'll be different sizes. You can see there it has some grays and it also has some browns. That is the plan. And then between the stone and the wood, there'll be a cast stone cap that separates those two materials. A couple of the other details, we mentioned the gooseneck lights that are on the exterior. You'll see a rendering that where it shows basically directly over that big barn door. You can see the barn style doors that are being proposed for the elevation that's facing Bronson. And then you can see the natural wood doors and windows that are also being proposed as part of the elevation. Here's a view from the north side. So you can see on the left that that's the proposed athletic center. Actually, this is a pretty good view of showing how the grade falls down the hill. So that's we have direct access to the rink to the main level without having to utilize an elevator. That also shows on the north end that it's open. So this is the elevation of that north end. The north end is open, the south end is closed. We talked about most of the materials there that you can see on the elevation that faces Bronson. That these are mostly double hung windows. You can see the barn doors. And then there's this portion of the rink is visible as you saw from some of the earlier renderings. This portion is not because it's hidden by landscape trees as well as the grade falling away. Shows a closer version of the athletic center. We talked about the gooseneck lights. There are two on this elevation, one over each of those windows to illuminate that general area. Next. That shows on the left the cupola, again, painted cedar. The one that's closest to the street has the glass, and the other one, which we're not showing, is louvered. If you want to learn anything about the exterior wall sections, happy to kind of go through the thickness and what's involved within that exterior wall. Next. So we are planning to start construction this spring and do the roof of the athletics, do the roof of the rink this year. When that's done, this is what it looks like. And then after the next hockey season, we're planning to start, and it might even be sooner than we start the athletic center. So it actually, we're trying to do this in two phases. It's really critical for us to get this roof on. Again, tomorrow night it's going to rain. I mean, nobody's going to be able to use the rink all weekend long. So we need to try to mitigate that as quickly as possible. Phase one would be to get the roof and the rink set first, and then continue and finish the athletic center. Next. This just shows that one portion of the rink that is visible as you're walking or driving down from Bronson to the rink. That we're really only seeing 3 or 4 bays of the rink because everything else is either covered up by the athletic center or by the screening trees. We are planning to have some signage on the building here. Fairly simple. But here again, you can also see this base is stone, then we have the cedar siding, and then the stainless steel roof, as well as this bar right here is a snow guard, a continuous snow guard to keep snow from falling on people's heads. And if we want to go into any details, happy to go into any details as to what this exterior looks like. Next. So, when it's done, today in the bottom right, the left there, you can see what it looks like, actually without ice, but that's without a roof on it. And then when we're done, this is what we're proposing. This is looking south. You can see the southern end there is fully enclosed. These are steel members, it's wood otherwise. You can see on the upper left there that we're going to have the ability at both the ice level as well as one level up to have people look onto the ice and see their kids skating around and winning great hockey games.
Yeah, and Eric, I'll just add while we're looking at this view, because I know when we had the site walk, Commissioner Bohan, I think, mentioned about the sound. And I know it's not HDC related, but there are materials up in this roof area that are for sound dampening. So it's not only the thing on the wall on the southern end, but there's also materials there. You wouldn't see them from the outside, but they're there to dampen sound.
50% of the roof is planned to have acoustic material applied to it to soften them. That's correct. Thanks.
Yeah.
Difficult to read probably, but this is the first floor plan. At the bottom of the page is the ice rink. Off the page is the ice rink. We'll have a warming room. We have a coach's office, we have some bathrooms for everybody's use. Top of the page are 2 different locker rooms for the home team and away team. It has some toilets associated with that and some storage. The right half of the page all has to do with the maintaining of the ice. So we have the Zamboni garage, we have the mechanical room for all the equipment, as well as storage for goals and other things associated with it. So when you walk in the front door, this would be the first view. To the right is the rink. If you walk to the left where those 2 boys are coming out, that's leading directly into the locker rooms. Next. The second floor. On the second floor, we have a great viewing room at the bottom of the page, which looks to the rink. At the top of the page, that's what this rendering is right here. It's our fitness and wellness center. It's a multi-purpose space, which I'm sure the school will get lots of great use out of it. And this room opens directly onto that terrace. If we go to the next slide. And there's that terrace. Just mentioned. So I think that's the end of our presentation. I'm happy to take questions.
Yeah, and I just have a couple things with regards to the standards in your handbook. And it's a large one, but it's an outbuilding. And what your handbook says about that is that the goal of any new outbuilding is to create a structure which is not disruptive to the historic character of the existing buildings, and also to try to protect the streetscape. So while this building will, obviously be seen from the public way, one thing I wanted to know is it's about 300 feet setback, and also you could see that existing house. Really, the front of the athletic center is even set back from the back of that house. So we tried to ensure that we don't interfere with that view. Rinks are unique, and so there's discussion in the handbook about new construction taking care and designing new buildings and structures that intrude as little as you can upon the historic character. Sports courts are found throughout the district. I think we've placed it similar to what you see towards the back of the property. And again, we were able, luckily, to take advantage of the grades to try to minimize visually the impact of the structure. The other thing I feel like I'm remiss in not mentioning, because your handbook specifically mentions it, and it discusses how this area has a rich academic history. Timothy Dwight founded the Academy, Greenfield Academy, in 1783. That site is now the park next to the church. However, I think it's a nice connection that Fairfield Country Day School is located on Timothy Dwight's property, where he had his famous house. It was called Verna, was located there. And I think it just puts a nice bow on this application that we're now approaching almost 250 years since Dwight founded that academy. And there's an application that's here before you from a school based at his former property that is still thriving to this day. And with this approval, will hopefully continue well beyond 250 years. So with that, I'd take questions. I don't know, we have the head of Fairfield Country Day. If you wanted to just, if there was anything you wanted to say regarding the project and how excited we are for it. But yeah,
thank you all. That was it. And thank you, Eric. That was a great presentation. I mean, I think that at the core, the purpose of this project is to ensure the education of the boys at Fairfield Country Day. It's not intending to be a hockey academy. It's not intending to really revolutionize how we do business. It's just literally very hard to run the school day when our facilities aren't, built in a way that can do that. So I think I have a long tenure at the school. I've been there 20 years. My husband went to Fairfield Country Day. My father-in-law went to Fairfield Country Day. My in-laws live in Greenfield Hill. We very much appreciate and value the nature of the neighborhood. We endeavor to be good partners, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Just state your name.
Yes.
Correct.
We're up here at the school.
And that's it. Well, happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Darren, do you have any
I
questions?
need your thing that I wrote all over. Could you go back to slide, I think it was 3? Two questions. I think they're pretty, pretty straightforward, but. Okay, so you said you were gonna widen the driveway? Oh, if I can just move. So you're widening down to at least here, are you widening all this too, or is it this maintained at the same width?
It all has to be wide.
It's all gonna be
15.
wide.
To-
Okay.
Today, it's all between 11 and a half and 12 and a half.
Okay.
Depending on where you
So
measure
you're
it.
standardizing all the way down from the road to
15
that. That's it.
15-foot width that was required by.
Okay. All right, wonderful. And then the cedar fence, I don't know what slide it was, around the mechanical
You
unit.
stay on that slide, actually.
Can you just show me where it is?
Yes. There, that's good. It's right about here.
So is that even would be visible from the street with the slope?
Well, it's not visible from the street. It's 100% to address acoustics and
Right.
vision
Okay.
from the next door neighbor.
Okay, cool. Those were my
And
questions.
there is one there today. It was done at some point in the last 15 years or so for that same purpose.
Perfect. That was it.
Art?
Very impressive. I live 50 feet away and I stare at it every day and I wouldn't mind looking at that. So, no questions.
Mark?
Thank you.
Just quick question. You mentioned the lighting that's gonna come down to the, along the way, which just a conversation for us is that it's nice and clean and straightforward, but quite modern. Are we okay with that? I mean, we want the kids to have lighting. I think it's not a,
Okay. On a personal note, I don't think it's obtrusive at all.
no, I don't think it
I think
is.
it's gonna blend in, especially because it looks like they're planting trees down that pathway as well. Or in that one rendering, it said it, you were.
That's a good question. We had them originally and I don't think we have them today.
All right.
Well, they can't block them, sorry. They can't block them out.
Can you say your name?
Yeah, you have to say your name.
Maureen Bartolomeo, I'm the business person at River today.
Thank you.
So
It's outside of our
So,
jurisdiction, but I thought.
well, there is a rendering where halfway down where the driveway, where the pathway splits.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have landscaping at that point. Before that, it's actually just going to be grass.
Oh, okay.
And it has to do with.
Either way, I don't have a problem with the lights, but
Right, but I just wanted us to think about it
Yeah.
because those are classic lights. So, but I fully understand we have to make sure there is lighting for students going down and instead of having really tall.
We tried to make it simple as possible.
Yeah.
It was really the most simple fixture that we could find.
Yeah. Right. The other question I had is, I think you, from the north side, when you were looking, those windows looked quite large. Are those,
You go several slides, there's a rendering, John.
No, forward.
The other one.
This is a good comment because I had a similar issue here. Keep going. Yeah.
there? Yeah,
So, actually, those are being adjusted because right now those are fixed and we want those to be operable. So we're planning to have 4 inserted windows in that one big opening in each of those. And those, most likely, the best way to do that is to have an awning that will bring natural air
right.
and get air in there, but it also will make the mullion between heavier, because right now it looks too flimsy. I think was that your?
Yeah.
comment as well?
Yeah, it was, I don't know how picky I want to be, but it had a very modern look. And if you did that, it would just kind of,
I'm 100% agree for both those reasons. I want to bring some of the natural air and be able to open.
yeah. And again, being picky because that's not going to be seen from the road. But I think you also did a really good job making this look more classic. So that would be great. That's it.
Jim?
Stay on that picture. First of all, I'm so glad I was out there in August to see it because I drive by this a lot. So where is this? When's it gonna start? So thank you for all that. But I think it's gonna be great. I think this is a great presentation. I just have a personal question. You've got all the acoustic tiles in there, et cetera, but you have that because you have one of the ends open. Why didn't you just enclose the whole rink?
It has to do with mechanical systems. Once we start including a certain percentage of this, we can no longer just have natural air ventilating. All of a sudden, you're going to have the steam building up in there, and we're going to have issues inside the rink. And so by leaving that open and leaving the sides, we have enough air movement that we shouldn't have an issue where we have fog inside the rink, which would be.
And we ended up thinking it was going to be much more disruptive, frankly, to the area if we had to have these mechanical systems now, and it doesn't.
It's classic this way.
Yeah. Awesome, thank you.
George?
Yes, good afternoon, good evening. After being a 30-year neighbor just down the street, I think you've done a great job at low profiling the rink so that you get the best of both worlds. And so I think it's a vast improvement, and will be a real attribute to the school. So I really have to say that I think the lighting, the whole structure has been well thought out, well conceived, and excellently presented. So thank you. No questions.
Jim? Jim
Agreeing
B?
with George. Nice job. No questions at all. Good luck.
Greg?
Yeah, hey, thank you. Great presentation. Quick question. First, is the signage that's going to be throughout the entire campus? I'll call it a campus, right? Because that's the size of it, really. When you look at across the street, I live a half mile from there, so I walk by there often. The signage that you're going to have, is it going to be throughout the area, and is it going to be wooden signs?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's really only two signs associated with the building. One is on the mailbox that's existing to remain. One is on the side of the rink, and what that exactly is going to say, I think we're probably still waiting for fundraising and figuring out what this rink is ultimately going to be called.
The Russo Memorial Hockey Rink.
Yeah.
Maybe. But then there's also, it needs to be a certain amount of signs associated with vehicular traffic. And so any of those signs are going to be painted white wood signs.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I can see the Bigelow Ice Center or something to that effect, but yes.
There's still time to donate if you want naming rights.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, I'll buy a brick. Let's just say that. What was I going to say? I grew up playing in a hot outdoor rink. Okay, for my entire younger years, outdoors the way to go. I grew up in an outdoor rink, and then I went to University of Connecticut, and University of Connecticut had an outdoor rink for 75 years. So enough said about the outdoor rink. I totally agree. It's way too much to take it. It would deteriorate that building in 5 years if you didn't do it that way.
Okay.
Yep.
I do not have any questions or comments. Everything was sort of addressed. Is there anyone from the public who has questions or comments? Can you state your name, please?
My name is Marty Berger.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. My name is Marty Berger. My wife is here also. We live at 2905 Bronson Road across from Arthur. Originally, our parcel, we're on the corner of Vernon Hill and Bronson, but originally the parcel was 6 acres. So it included not only 2905 Bronson Road, which was built about 90 years ago, to match Verna across the street. It's a brick house, sort of matches across the street. At one time, it was owned by Country Day School, believe it or not. But that parcel included 2905 Bronson Road, 2943 Bronson Road, which is the next parcel to me, which adjoins the Country Day property, and 710 Verna Hill, which was the other lot that was subdivided. And then there's another parcel, 750 Verna Hill. We were all notified of this project. We went to the Planning and Zoning Commission back in December, and there were approval with conditions, which I don't know if you've seen these, but these were conditions of approval back to Arthur had back at that point. There's a couple of issues here that were sort of discussed here before. One is the south end of the building, which is enclosed. That was a big issue with the neighbors, not only because this building, believe it or not, is going to be 30 feet tall. They'll tell you, it's only 22 feet, but when you put the roof on, you're talking about a 30-foot tall building. So the real issue when you're at my house or the next property to me, which is Jasandi, which is right there, we're looking now at a building, at a rink that's about 5 feet tall, and the rest is plexiglass. So even though it's white colored and sort of stands out, and they were supposed to plant trees there years ago, which they never did. But what's going to happen now is you're going to be looking at a building that's 30 feet tall. So from the south end, from where we are, we've agreed with Country Day School, okay, which is in the approval with conditions that they're going to plant big trees along that side. We don't have a landscape plan, but anyways, that's what they agreed to do along the south side and the west side of the building. For the west side of the building, which is open, which the architect just talked about, is facing the property at 750 Verna Hill. That property goes all the way back to there, and it's very, very visible for there. So that's all going to be shielded. So we don't have any issues with that. But here are some of the issues that we are concerned about. And it goes back to 1987, when this rink originally was built or proposed. The issue at that point was, first of all, that big building, that white building that they're talking about, what was the headmaster's dwelling at one time. Now it's a dormitory. So it's not right, Margot?
Well, it is now a faculty house.
Well, whatever you call it.
Yeah, it's we're not a boarding school yet.
Right, but it's what you call a faculty house. It's not a one-family dwelling anymore. And
It's a one-family faculty house dwelling.
well,
Yeah.
whatever. There's a lot of cars back there. It doesn't make any difference. But anyways, what was decided at that point, from this commission, was because of the distance back from that rink, you did not have any jurisdiction on that rink because there's a 200-foot, I think, for the Miller Bronson Road, you measure back, and then you don't have authority past that point. I think that was the issue way back then. But what we were able to do at that point, if you look at the site now, there's big, tall evergreen trees that cover a good chunk of that existing building, which is 5 feet tall and plexiglass. Now you're going to be looking at a 30-foot high building from Bronson Road. So one of the issues that we have as neighbors is on the southerly corner of the building where the architect talked about where that wooden barrier is, a sound barrier. That's where the big trees start and go across. So one of the things that we were concerned about, because as the architect said, you're going to have a two-phase project here, that if you do phase number one to put the roof on the structure, we would ask you to make sure that those trees that are covering that building now do not get taken down until such time as they do phase number 2, when they build their athletic building. Now, when they build that building, if you look at that plan, the real question is, how many of those large trees will remain on the southerly side of the athletic building? With the yellow little trees there now, but certainly we would prefer to have all those big trees that have been growing there for 40 years, whatever it's been, to remain as many as they can on that site. The other thing that we're concerned about, you could go back to the parking lot that the architect was talking about before. There's no landscape plan there. Right now, what you have on that parking lot, there's big tall buildings. He mentioned that maybe they're not wide, but or whatever, but there are a number of very large trees, I guess you're going to cut down. And what you're going to plant there between that site and Bronson Road is unknown, because it doesn't show anything on that plan as far as protecting that parking lot you're going to gravel it and so forth. The other thing I would comment about, we talked about the circular driveway they want to build in there. For years, and even today, there's a hockey rink, hockey match there, whatever it is. They've been parking on that grass area with the trees and everything else, and without having an access road coming in and circling around. Cars go in and out of there. They have buses that park in there without that access road. So we would prefer it to have, forget the access road on the north side there. You have a 15-foot wide driveway coming in. Cars can come in, turn into this parking area easily and exit. They've been doing that for years. So basically, those are the issues that we have as neighbors as far as the screening is concerned on the southerly end, and as ever people say, they're walking down Bronson Road, what that site's going to look like with that parking lot without proper screening. It's not going to be pretty. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public that has questions or comments? Hearing none, we did not receive any letters in favor of this application, and we did not receive any letters opposing this application. So the hearing is now closed. Thank you for everyone who presented and made comments. We're moving on to the considerations of the public hearing now. So the first item in the agenda was withdrawn. Candace Singleton and Nicholas Prognosy, 106 Old Post Road, Fairfield, Connecticut, for a property located at 106 Old Post Road, Fairfield, Connecticut. So that item was withdrawn. The second item is David and Elizabeth Barrett, 14 Westway Road, Southport, Connecticut, for a property located at 14 Westway Road, repair, modify existing deck railings and resurface railing will be replaced with new wood railing. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any comments?
I think it looks good.
Yep, that's good.
Let's go ahead and vote. All in favor of the motion? George, okay,
I'm
it
there.
passes. Thank you, Doug. The next item is Judith Proctor, 428 Peakwood Avenue, Southport, Connecticut, for a property located at 428 Peakwood Avenue to construct wrought iron handrail and add back steps. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
A motion to
As submitted.
second.
Any comments? Hearing none. let's vote. All in favor? Okay. Motion passes. The next item is Megan and Sean Kelly, 204 Harbor Road, Southport, Connecticut, for a property located at 204 Harbor Road. For A, replace existing asphalt roof with new roof using red cedar shingles, ice shield entire roof, install new red copper drip and rake edges, valley finish flashing, step and wall flashing shingles over cedar breather with stainless steel fasteners. And B, replace existing plastic exhaust fan with a new aesthetically mindful exhaust fan termination cover on the driveway side. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve. as
Second.
submitted.
Who said second?
George.
Thank you. Any comments?
Looks good.
Okay. I will say my only comment is there was discussion between the plastic and the wood.
Oh.
I think the plastic one that was presented is good enough. So, that's my only comment. So is, with no other comments, let's vote on the motion. All in favor? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can go if you need to.
Run, Skippy, anyone?
The next item in the agenda was SF Station Street LLC, 65 Station Street, Southport, Connecticut, 06890, for a property located at 65 Station Street, Southport, Connecticut, and that item was withdrawn. The next item in the agenda was the Fairfield County Country Day School Corporation, 3015 Bronson Road, Fairfield, Connecticut, for a property located at 3015 Bronson Road. For A, the demolition of an existing shed and maintenance building. B, the construction of a new two-story, 8,400 square foot athletic center, including mechanical and Zamboni garage. C, the installation of a canopy structure over the existing ice rink with a portion of the structure enclosed on its southern end. D, installation of a new pervious parking area on the eastern end of the site. E, installation of an expansion of driveway access around the parking area and to the ice rink, and athletic center. F, installation of new ADA compliant sidewalks. G, installation of new path and parking lighting around the parking areas and walkways to the new athletic center. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted for discussion purposes.
Anyone second?
Second.
Any discussion?
All right, so overall, I like what they're doing, but there's a couple of things that I think we need to consider. One, there's, can I ask a clarification question of the applicant?
In theory, no, but let's do it if it,
So since this is a two-phase build, can you leave those screening trees
Yes.
that you can until such time as you build the athletic center?
If I may.
Well,
This construction's happening as part of the first phase. It has to because it's
Yeah.
a mechanical system for the ramp. This portion right here has several mature evergreen trees.
Yeah.
Those trees do a very nice job of screening everything that's beyond. So for that first 6, 8, 9, 12 months, yes, those trees can stay.
Okay.
And all the trees down here are staying. And
Okay.
As part of phase one, we are inserting, I think there's 13 evergreen trees
So additional evergreen screening.
as part of phase one.
Okay. So that was one thing that people in the public were asking about. So I was asking for clarification for it. There's also the changes to the north side windows that I think we will want to see. So I think that needs to be a stipulation with whatever approvals or whatever we decide to do. What are the thoughts about the driveway? Well, there was comments from the public about the turnaround.
My thought was that we have to consider for the trees around the parking lot. And that's just unfortunate part of life, that the trees are not healthy and at some point they need to be replaced. So that's hard. We want to actually have more trees there, so we want to encourage that. As far as the parking lot, this is a school, so we also have to consider safety. And, when you have a parking lot with grass and mud and people getting stuck and kids, I think we have to consider that from a pragmatic, and visually, I think it looks good. If there's a materials thing as far as safety, that's also P and Z.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was just curious what people were thinking.
I'm good with the egret, the two, and
Yeah.
I have no issues with that.
Yeah, and I think we have to defer to the safety and.
Oh,
fire.
100%. I was just curious on thoughts. I mean,
Yeah.
At the Mark Twain House, we did just have to take down 3 witness trees and it killed us, but they were dying and public safety.
Yeah.
So,
And we do take it.
yeah,
We're 100%.
your comment about the windows, that's phase 2, so we've got.
Yeah, but they're
Yeah,
asking for the whole project.
But they've come with this application, so we have to put that in a stipulation. That's the other question, Rosina. Since this is a 2-phase, our COA is only good for so
Right.
long.
Yep.
So how will that work? How long is building phase 1?
Planning to start construction in March.
And you'll be done within a year?
We're planning to finish phase 1 for hockey season,
Okay,
So by November.
October, November. And then start back up in March when hockey season's done.
So it's more than a year.
so it's more than a year. Okay,
To
So
start
they will have
phase
to,
two.
they'll have to come back for an extension.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm clear on the stipulation you're looking for the windows.
They're talking about changing the windows that they've presented on the north side
he's gonna
of the
change.
building.
What, did we get a visual on that?
Yeah, he gave a visual on the ones that are there now, but they're talking about changing them. If they are going to change them, I'd like to see them.
But it will be part of.
Yeah, it'll be part of
That
phase
phase
2, so they have
So
time.
It will be part of, go ahead.
The
It will be
extension.
part
The
of the
extension.
extension
Yeah.
discussion.
But do the rules say that the project has to start within a year or
It has to finish
Finish.
within a year.
Okay.
So do we need, I mean, I'll defer to you. I don't have a problem with that. Do we need to stipulate something that may be changed?
Well, so right now we're looking at this
The whole
whole,
thing.
the whole thing has been submitted to us, so we're approving the whole thing. They'll have to come back within a year if they're not done building the whole thing within that time.
And we just can't approve something on because we heard it was gonna change. We
Yeah.
should see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have, just for notice purposes, I don't have an issue with stipulating. I just wanted to know
Yeah.
what we were doing.
That's fair. Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
It's the CYA clause.
This, you see how it's thicker?
But it's not gonna be that configuration. I mean,
No, it's not, it's the 4 windows. But you see that's thicker than what you're seeing.
Yes.
That was the.
So,
Those were my points that I,
okay, any more discussion? We lost Greg Valente. No, but still, there's more part to this meeting. So the motion was
to approve as submitted.
as submitted,
I think we need to vote that down
okay?
and make a new motion with stipulations, but I think we need to decide what those stipulations are before we make.
I have your first one, is stipulation that the screening trees,
Are
existing
left.
screening trees are left intact during phase 1.
There was that one, and then the stipulation that any changes to the windows on the north side of the building get reviewed.
And that-
But,
That
Yeah.
could come
Are
back.
not subject to this approval.
or, yeah,
That will be better.
yeah, that would be much better. And then when just for the applicant, when you come back after that year has expired to get an extension, any changes, just do it all at once.
It's fine. It's just gonna be a quick fixing the rendering and fixing the elevation.
And then the application
We
would
can
be
submit it next week or we can submit it next year. It really
next
doesn't
year,
matter.
because you only have a year to finish.
You to come back anyway.
Yeah, you're gonna have to come back anyway, just do it all at once. Does that make sense?
So let's vote on the original one that was approved as submitted. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, passes. Is there another motion?
Do you want to take it? Did you write it down, or do you want me to do it?
Well, I'll propose the revised motion that, items A, B, C, D, E, F, G are approved, subject to the following two stipulations. One, that, the existing screening trees, are left intact. All screening trees are left intact during phase one.
Well, it can't be all, because the mechanical ones will come down. There was ones in front of the mechanical building, right? You're doing that in phase one.
There's some that probably will, but I would just say
As many.
majority of the screen trees would be maintained for phase one.
So, the stipulation is that all, or strike that.
Majority of.
That majority of the screening trees, existing screening trees are left intact during phase one. And any future changes to the exterior windows are not subject to this approval.
Okay, okay, so there was one, Darren. Any comments? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor of approving A, B, C, D, E, F, G with the stipulation that the majority of the existing screening trees are left intact during phase one, and any changes to the windows to the north side of the building are not subject to this approval. All in favor?
All right,
Okay, the motion passes.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for everyone who presented. The next item is the approval of the minutes from, December 11th. Present at that meeting was Darren Raymond Long, George Clark, Maura Garrett, Jim Akimondo, Jim Bohan, and Greg Valente, and myself. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
well, I'll second.
that.
Thank you, sir.
Jim A. The next one are the, minutes of the special meeting on that same date, December 11th. Present there was Darren, Mara, Jim A, Jim Bohan, and myself. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted. I'll second it.
Okay. Thank you. Then moving on to the chairman's report, there was one repair during this one, which was 204 Harbor Road. Basically, you guys saw the repair information as part of the presentation. Moving on to demolition items, I would like if there is a motion to add 2 items that came in after I had put the agenda together. Those 2 are 92 Grassmere Avenue and 280 Tuckerview Lane. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to add 92 Grassmere Ave and 280 Tuckahoe Lane to the demolitions part of the agenda for discussion.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Anyone seconds?
Second.
Agenda.
No.
Okay, I'll put Jim.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion? Okay, motion passes. So the demolition items for this time are, give me 1 second so that I can find.
It's January.
We have a very patient person.
Yes, he's been very patient for.
We appreciate that. So, in the demolition items, the first one is 105 Byron Street, which is, that building on the top. The next one is 300 Castle Avenue.
You don't know how old it is. do you?
Based on that early 1900s statement.
Yeah.
19th century. Can't trust those ever.
No,
Yes.
we can look at Fairfield GIS, has better information. The next one is 92 Grassmere Avenue, which is, this is the side view and the front. Yep. And the next one is 280 Tuckahue Lane. Okay. So those are the items for demolition. In terms of violations, there were none. Old business, we had discussed almost everything at the end of the year. And as part of the new business, there is a discussion on presenting the guidelines to the community. We met yesterday with, as part of the budget of the HDC, with the first select woman and some other individuals, and we mentioned about this presentation. So we'll just have to perhaps create a committee and focus more on this for this year.
What's the thought? Should we have just make an announcement and say we're gonna present them or?
So basically, there are several things that we could do since there was no interest from the public in providing comments. We need to make awareness of there are new guidelines. So one of the things that were discussed is the town has a newsletter. So putting those as part of that newsletter will be good, or reaching out to the districts in some sort of manner. But if we can make a presentation, invite people and make sure that everyone's on the same page, especially as none of the realtors that were provided the guidelines ever kind of acknowledged that the guidelines were out there. And it's important for realtors to
Understand.
provide this to new buyers.
And the RTM needs to.
Yes. So I think it will be good to concentrate on this perhaps before March or May to do something for the community so that everyone's aware. The second item is membership in the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions for CLG. Which the state basically is providing the membership for our commission. And as soon as I get that information, I will share it with everyone. So
And then we need to attend a coursework.
we need to start attending things.
Got it.
Yes. Which I know you have and Greg has. Not sure
I
if you
need to,
have.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but we have to continue. It's not like a one timer.
Right.
It's a continuous.
So what do we get with the membership?
When
Access to this.
access to the website, which has a bunch of different workshops and a lot of different briefs and things that
We can do all this
we
remotely.
can, correct.
Okay, good.
And we'll send that out.
And you can basically just say, yes, I'll attend this one, and you do the Zoom meeting or
Great.
the
And
Teams
you'll,
meeting.
and you'll send that out?
Yeah.
Okay.
As soon as I get the information, I'll send it out. So.
Thank you.
Another new business is that, which is not in the agenda, I've reached out to IT for Fairfield to see if perhaps the commission can be part of the city square process that the building department uses. This past year, we streamlined a little bit the presentations, the applications, in the way that it's no longer in paper, it's done by PDF, but it's done by emailing it to the commission. If we go, perhaps, if it's feasible financially to the city square, we will be in the same platform as the building department, so the applicants will just go and do the exact same thing that they do to apply for a permit or to apply for something zoning. I know a lot of people internally don't like City Square, but for example, I use a different application and no one is happy with them. So I don't think anyone will ever be happy with any of these platforms, but it might be better in the way that perhaps the building department can see the applications that are submitted for our department or our commission, and everyone can be on the same page.
Absolutely, way more cohesive.
So it's one of the things that I'm looking into. As soon as I get some input, I'll share it with everyone. So, okay. Any other new business discussions? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll second it.
Too late,
Well,
George.
too late.
That's all right. I'm in Paris and I'm gonna say goodnight.
Hold on 1 second.
Paris, yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
Oh, he's already
he
left.
So one last thing on new business. I would like for everyone in the commission that attends in person are going to be the ones that are able to vote. From now on, 2026, if you are not in person, you are not able to discuss or to vote. You can view the presentation, you can be part of the group, but you are not gonna be able to vote because it's a disservice to the presenters that actually present in person. So with that one, I'll do the motion to adjourn again. Darren,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Art,
Second.
thank you very much. All in favor? It passes. Thank you very much.